All right, so now we're going to talk about ellipses. Sorry, the words are in reverse. I didn't realize that was going to happen. So here I have a square and I have a square in perspective. We'll come back to this one. We're going to start here. And to understand what an ellipse is, it's basically on any kind of cylindrical object. So for example, like a coffee mug, a glass jar, like a bottle, a plate, anything where you have parallel, concentric, circular shapes as seen in space. There's a very specific way to sort of understand how those things are supposed to be seen. The sort of quick and easy way to understand it is that they're sort of seen as ovals, but they're not really ovals. There's something slightly different going on. So let me explain the sort of the geometric method of making it work. So if you take a square and you draw from corner to corner, you can find the absolute center of this square. Now, if I had a compass, I could just put the compass in that little dot there and draw my circle. Another thing that you can do, though, that since you know that that's the absolute center, is you can also quadrant. You can find the halfway point between these two sides. In a minute here, you'll see how this makes sense. And also I can find the halfway point between these vertical sides. Now, if you remember from geometry, a circle, and forgive me because I'm not going to be able to draw a perfect circle, but a circle fits perfectly inside that square. See what I'm saying? And it touches right here, 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 and here. All right. So now that's all probably old news to you. It's not that big of a deal. But let me explain to you how that works though in perspective. So I have over here a tile, square tile, and I've drawn those same exact dimensions on it. I have the circle, the X, and the quadrants. Now, if I take this tile, and as it's seen in space, see how like when I start to tip it up like a tabletop, the shape of that circle changes, right? It becomes thinner. It becomes thinner and thinner the closer it is to my eye level. The further down from my eye level it gets, the rounder it's going to appear. Does that all make sense? Okay. Now the really interesting thing is that when you have a tile like this drawn on your flat page, the same rules apply. So I can take a line and cut it through there. Take a line, cut it through here. Okay, and I can find the absolute center of this tile. I can also quadrant it. Find the halfway point going across here. Maybe I'll use the ruler for this one just to make sure it's right. And you remember the rule that these four corners are where that circle is going to touch? Right there, there, and here. I can draw a circle in perspective, and that's what's referred to as an ellipse. So to do that, this part's kind of tricky. You basically kind of do like a sort of freehand sketch. You want to make sure it touches there. Then it, comes full out, and then it comes to there. And then you'll do the same thing over on this side, try to make it mirror. there, and then all right. You see how that works? So that's technically what an ellipse is. It's not actually an oval. It's an oval that, because the front half of the circle is closer to you, do you see how long this is on the page versus how short it is from the back edge to the center? That's a small half, and this is the big half, the half that's closest to us. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Let me flip to a new page, and then I'll explain how this is relevant to you when you're drawing, because one of the biggest sort of mistakes that people make when drawing like bottles and stuff is the assumption that your mind makes. This is the assumption your mind makes. Let's say you're looking at a coffee mug. That's a good example because I saw someone do one a little bit wrong in the drawing class. Is they'll draw the top of the mug. Maybe they'll even make a pretty decent looking ellipse because their mind sees the fact that the opening of the mug is circular. And they go down, they draw the bottom of the mug, and they get down here. And for some reason, your mind just won't let you see what's really happening. And they kind of just go flat across like that. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Your mind's saying, well, it's flat on a table, so it must be flat on my page. The truth is, what's happening is whatever ellipse is happening down here has to be, I'll draw the back side of the mug too, has to be rounder, has to be more full than this ellipse because it's further down in space. So here's an example of that. Here's a cylinder. Okay, so I'm just gonna flat it first. And let's say your eye level's right here. So the first ellipse that you see would just appear as a line. The second one you see a little bit below your eye level is just going to be very small. Then the further down you go, the fuller it's going to be. Getting pretty full pretty fast, and then as you go up, it's the other direction. It's a little bit skinny here. So in other words, these are all just like cross sections of the cylindrical shape. Okay, so this is like the center line going down the middle. And so if this is the top of my cylinder, this would be my bottom, like that. Or like the coffee mug, let's say the whole thing is below our level. We can just remove all this information. The top of the coffee mug would be a very skinny ellipse, and then the bottom ellipse would be much fuller. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know it seems really simple, but like it's probably one of the most common sort of mistakes that happens, I think, in drawing, because it's just one of those things. I guess if you haven't been shown it or to understand it, it's really easy to make that mistake where you draw the bottom of your objects flat. You always have to remember, the further down in space you go, the rounder and rounder and rounder those ellipses need to appear. They got to continually get steeper and steeper. Okay, cool.